Hello! We're going to talk about making some little postcard type watercolor sketches here based on learning our watercolor rules. First thing first, number one rule, light to dark, always wins. This one is always the thing you got to work with first. If you're like, I'm sure, is this one in front, is this back, which one do I do? Always go with light to dark first. Number two, work back to front. Number three, start very general, get more and more specific with your details. And number four, keep your watercolors transparent. So based on those rules, we're going to do some little, I call them my postcard sketches because they're postcard size. I'm going to start with, cleaning my brush. Always clean the brush, good idea. And I want to get, see, now you can see just a little bit of the color, the paint here, but really this should be a nice clean layer of water. That's my goal. I'm going to add a nice even wash as best I can. So I want to do a nice even coat of clean water. Already not my best. And I want that to be a blue color. I'm going to make this a sky. We'll put this here so you can kind of see what that's going to become. Oops, I'm noticing here that I've missed a spot. Let's get some water on there. Let's see. Yeah, make sure you get a nice even coat there. I'm using my flat brush. You could use one that's a little bigger than this if you wanted. All right, and I'm going to take just a little bit of purple, because remember we talked about like the colors in the pans are kind of like skill colors. They're not quite real in life. I like to mix them up a little bit, and I want to make sure I have enough on my brush that I can get that nice dark value to start. And then I'm going to pull that, get a few bands of color on there, and I'm going to start to pull that down. And it's going to flow nicely for me because I have that layer of water underneath. That's what's going to give me a nice graded wash. Because watercolor does all kinds of cool things on its own. I just want to kind of work with it so I get to enjoy those effects. Now, it looks like I needed a little more water on the bottom. And one of the big things with watercolors, you're always learning how much water you want on your brush. Because with watercolor, our white is the white of the page. And then learning how to control the paint and control the water is really a big part of learning watercolor. So I'm going to work my way back up. I'm trying to use nice even strokes all the way across the area I'm working on so that I do get a nice smooth change. And once I get pretty close to how I want it, I think that'll work. I'm going to pull up just a little bit on these edges here. I'm going to let that move and blend all on its own. And while that's drying, I'm going to move to another part of the page. And it's important to be working in sort of different parts of the page when you're working with watercolors, because you're going to get, let's make sure this is clean, yep. You're going to get things bleeding and blending if you put two colors next to each other. And if you don't want two colors next to each other, then if you don't want them to blend or bleed into each other, you got to make it so that you have a sharp, dry edge to start. Like you want the paper dry if you want a crisp edge. You want the paper wet if you want things to blend. So you got to kind of plan your paintings, work in layers, and figure out what's what. Now let's check this. Make sure everything is shiny and has a good coat of water. Looks like it's pretty even. All right. Now up here, again, I'm going to start mixing, so I'll start with this blue again, but maybe now I do a touch of its complement just to dull it a little. I'll use a teeny touch of orange in here. Oop, that was more than a teeny touch. Not bad though, it's kind of an interesting color. Let's get a little more blue in there. You see that? No. Here's my blue. So I have blue and a little bit of orange in there. And then what I'm going to do, let's move this here so you can see it a little better. My page is wet. I'm going to do a graded wash again, so if you need another demo of that, here you go. If not, this can all just wipe off the counter, but here, let's just do this so it doesn't pool on me. Let's see, I think I need a little more paint here. And I'm going to give myself another graded wash. And this time, I want this graded wash to come down a little more. I want a little bit more of it because I'm going to practice clouds in here. Too much water. There we go. There we go. Now, looks like a almost late day sky. I just put a little more water on my brush because I do want it to fade. I can lift up some if I clean off the water. the page there. Let's get a little more up here. There we go. But I need it dark a little further down so I can pull out some clouds. Now I can use this same paper towel, I can use a Kleenex, just sort of crumple it up, and then, I think the Kleenex I like the best because it really pulls it, but I'll show you the different paper towels. You can use like an at-home type paper towel, you know, like your Bounty, the Quicker Picker Upper, one of them. Or I could do, now I tend to make clouds. Study clouds, that's your homework here. See how it picks up a little bit less, but maybe that's what you want. You know, give yourself some options. With a little bit, usually there's like a dew point, like a flatter bottom on the cloud, and then a little puffier on the top, something like that. And then maybe, you know, the sky does tend to fade toward the horizon. So this dabbing technique, we're gonna come back in and we'll add a little more to these clouds in a little bit. But just to give us a start right there. There we go. So we got some starts of clouds there. And then our next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about, like, what if we wanted a little bit of a sun or something in the bottom? So I'm gonna again make this wash. So I want to make sure my brush is clean. Yep. This time I really want it to be just white, just white, just white, just wet, because I'm going to be, let's put this over here. I'm going to be adding a little bit of a yellow sun, if you recall from this one over here. It's going to look kind of like this guy down here. So oh, here we go with the announcements. Awesome. So here we go. I'm going to take some yellow and I'm going to make my sun over here, and you can see that it starts blending and moving immediately, which is fabulous. I'm going to take a little bit of orange and move this in. I'm just going to keep talking real loud so you can see me and what I'm doing. Then I'm going to come in and add a little bit of this blue. I'm going to mix a little bit of the blue with the color over here. And then, let's see, I want a brighter blue than that. There we go. And then I'm going to, see, all good things here during COVID to remember. Ooh, apparently I dipped it in the purple. That's okay, I'm having fun. There we go. Now I take this, bring it around, and I'm going to move this in here like this. And then, so I'm kind of moving this paint around to give it this like circular movement effect. And there we go. Maybe I'll just do this edges a little bit more to strengthen those. There we go. And then I can play with that. So now I have my starts here. I've got these nice backgrounds. I'm working back to front. I have a little bit lighter back there. So now as I start to work back to front and getting a little more specific with my details, I'll do that on the next video. Thank you.